Pronouns in bio intro. How's it hanging, Gaylords? Long time no see. I thought before I get into the film proper, I'd talk a little bit, do a little bit of an introduction. This is a book I read as a kid, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. According to the blurb, the main character, Christopher, is 15 and has Asperger's syndrome. To cut a long story short, I have Asperger's, or autism, as well. I didn't think that I had autism when I was a kid, and I read this book, because I feel like I'm the opposite of Christopher. Christopher loves maths and puzzles. He's got a great memory, all things that I don't have. I suppose part of me thinks that maybe if this book suggested that there were different types of autistic people, aka autism is a spectrum, then maybe I would have figured out that I was autistic sooner, rather than being diagnosed only because I thought I was autistic when I was 20. Anyway, I think we can just burn this book now, because it turns out Mark Haddon didn't really want the character to be autistic in the first place. Apparently the character doesn't even mention they're autistic in the book, and it's just written on the back cover. Oh, and he didn't do any research into autism. I guess this isn't such a good representation of autism as all of my English teachers and staff at school told me it was. I suppose the moral here is to not base the huge differences and range of human experiences on one portrayal. So I suppose don't base everyone who is trans or non-binary or in other ways LGBTQIA+ on my experiences, because we're not all the same. Not every autistic person is the same. Not every trans person is the same. Although many people who are autistic are also trans. Something else I wanted to mention is this film is quite depressing, because that's how I felt, and I wanted to be honest with my mental health and how difficult it is to get trans healthcare in the UK. I didn't want this film to focus on my suffering and my sadness. Maybe it does kind of focus on that. But there's also moments of just trans joy and feeling free and happy for the first time in a long time. Obviously I still have bad days, but everyone has bad days. My mental health is so much better than it used to be. I don't think about hurting myself or worse anymore. Avery, a trans guy, one of the lead singers from the band Girlpool, wrote for them.us in 2020 about releasing songs that he'd recorded pre-transition. He said, "Transness challenges us to validate our inner truth over people's ideas of who we are supposed to be. With all of this time to myself during quarantine, I've been thinking a lot about all of this. When I resist who I am, I want to encourage myself to lean into that resistance and practice holding it tight. Putting these demos out into the world feels healing to me in that way. I suppose, in a way, I hope that by finally releasing this film out into the world, I can too let this past version of myself go and accept, yeah, this was me, but now I'm Frankie. And I think I'm the happiest I've ever been, because every day I become more of myself. Transition is a very long and slow process, but we'll all get there eventually. I, for some reason, thought that depression means that you have to be sad all of the time, but that's not really how it works, for me at least. Like, I can be really happy and excited around my friends, but when I'm by myself, it can get really bad. So, something that has helped me is when people do actually check up on me, when people do actually seem to care about me and seem to put in effort to talk to me, and that can make a lot of difference for someone that tends to isolate themselves and feel a lot of pressure about talking to people and going to social events and things. So please check up on your friends if you haven't seen them for a while.
Doesn't matter if you're a she. Doesn't matter if you're a he. Doesn't matter if you're a they or them or anything else at all. Just put your pronouns in bio. Just put your pronouns in bio. Please.
Hi, my name is Frankie Schaftain-Fenner, and I'm a transgender woman. When I'm not spending my time reinforcing traditional gender roles by cooking cakes and cleaning bathrooms, then I'm busy putting on my makeup in slow motion.
You guys do realise I don't wear makeup all the time, right? You never see cisgender girls in documentaries putting on their makeup, so why do I need to do it? At this point, I'm just performing femininity. You could actually focus on important obstacles that trans people face, such as the complex legal systems to change our legal sex on ID documents, workplace discrimination, police harassment, and the constant threat of violence. But no, you don't care about any of that, do you? Maybe a trans filmmaker should do their own film. Film it themselves, edit it themselves, maybe do some music as well. It would be their own perspective, but I don't think you'd want to watch that, would you?
In film studies at university, we discussed a theory called the male gaze, which essentially means that a film or TV show assumes a masculine, heterosexual perspective. Women are shown as sexual objects, often created purely for the pleasure of the heterosexual male audience. How about a new term? The heteronormative and cisnormative gaze. Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? It's the gaze of the heterosexual, that is straight people, and the cisgender, that is not transgender people, which is projected onto LGBT folk. Because so often LGBT stories in general are diluted down or told by the people who don't know anything about us to appeal to the curious hetero majority of the world that just want to know what's going on with all these strange creatures known as the LGBTs. They create films and books and TV shows that deliberately sensationalise all of our experiences, boil it all down to stereotypes and before and after pictures or all that kind of stuff. But just like every other human being, LGBTQIA plus people are just individuals. We're not all the same. And so this is my experience. Maybe it gets too personal, maybe it gets too depressing, maybe it gets too real, but I feel like I should keep it that way so that it's honest, and I don't want to make it look easy, because if I did, then I'd be lying. It's snowing outside, which is quite nice and cinematic. It kind of sets the mood, I suppose. This is it. This is me. This is Frankie. Hello. I'm 21. I'm a trans girl. I am male to female, and I am going to try to get hormones. I am on the NHS's notoriously long waiting list for the gender identity clinic. Supposedly, even according to their website, the list is 2 to 3 years long, and that is just to get your first appointment. I believe you then have to be basically interrogated by at least 3 doctors and convince them all that you're trans before they'll actually then give you any hormones to change your body, which is either going to be estrogen or testosterone, but in my case that would be estrogen, or also known as HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. So that is the aim, to change my body to be more female, because I'm not happy with the current maleness. especially the chin. I've been depressed for a long time, especially during my teenage years. I wonder why that was. People ask if you're okay and you just go, yeah, I'm fine. Because you don't think you're fine, but you don't know why you're not fine. That was how I felt for ages, for as long as I can remember. I'd come downstairs early in the morning, bright and early as usual. Not really. I wouldn't have breakfast. Maybe have a bit of lunch. Maybe have dinner. Maybe not. Let me give you a quick history of my gender-related things. So, I got myself diagnosed as autistic, high-functioning autism, or Asperger's, or whatever you want to call it. And I wondered, is this why I felt depressed for a long time, because of my undiagnosed autism that no healthcare professionals or teachers or parents or other fellow students or just anyone had ever picked up on in my 20 years of life? Perhaps if I'm autistic and also dyslexic, then maybe there's something else. Maybe there's another reason why I feel depressed. For a long time I grew out my hair. Then I shaved my head and donated the hair to charity. My facial hair came and went occasionally too. And then I dyed my hair black for some reason. I knew that something was wrong, in quotation marks, with my appearance. But I really didn't know what, and so that's why I was trying a lot of different hairstyles and things like that, and I started experimenting with makeup as well, which I liked, but we were never taught anything about trans people in school, so that didn't even cross my mind. I just thought, I'm a bit gay, and I like using makeup, putting on a bit of lipstick now and then, putting on some fake hoop earrings from Claire's. In October 2020, I started wearing skirts and dresses that I got from a charity shop. I identified as non-binary for about a month, and then I identified as a femboy for a few months, so a feminine boy. At that time I was basically exclusively wearing women's clothes and makeup, and not any men's clothes. So I started to think about it more and more, and with the whole feminine boy kind of thing, I started to realise maybe I'm trans. I changed my name to Frankie and have been living as female ever since. Of course, not every person who is trans has to actually transition, but I've decided that that's something that I'd like to do.
I'm meant to have a gender dysphoria diagnosis or whatever. I'm meant to be having some appointment to do with that in a couple of weeks. But I've just been thinking, what am I supposed to do if they're just like, oh no, you're not trans enough, you're not this, you're not that, you're not. Then what am I meant to do? Find someone else to try and diagnose me? Waste another few months? Can I ever actually be happy? Or am I just going to be stuck in this fucking void forever?
Don't hold your breath, it'll be 'Cause when the confidence finds you, it's been there all along. It'll start to feel like this is where I belong. Where I belong. Where I belong.
Since it's still pretty early days in my transition, there's been a lot of phone calls I've had to make recently. Updating my name, updating my gender, updating things that my GP's got wrong, updating things the gender identity clinics got wrong. You know, just things like misgendering me, using the wrong name, you know, the classic stuff. But anyway, here's an example of a typical phone call that I would have.
You have reached the totally safe black market hormone clinic. Please select one of the following options. Option 1 for appointments and bookings. Option 2 for the hormone clinic. Or option 3 for any other inquiries. We're sorry, but no one is available to take your call at the moment. Please leave us a message and our team will get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, my name is Frankie.
Sorry,
I was just
the
ringing for...
voicemail box for this number is currently full. Thank you for your call.
I've realised that I'm probably... Well, I say probably transgender. I definitely am transgender. I just still feel weird about, like, labels and stuff, and I don't know if I'm really, you know, that comfortable about it. Although I've told quite a lot of friends and people that I occasionally talk to, but for some reason I still have a difficult time admitting it to myself. Okay, pause. This is me about 6 months or so later, and I just wanted to say, while I'm editing this footage, that trans people having feelings like this seems very, very scarily common, almost just normal for trans people to have, because I feel like everyone is so scared of rejection from family or society that it's still very scary to accept yourself as trans. People are scared to come out still. I was scared to come out to my family because I thought that people possibly wouldn't react to it well, and people would just say, no, you're not trans, you're not blah blah blah. You know, even if after I've been thinking about this stuff for like months or years or whatever, people will just easily dismiss you because they don't understand or whatever. And so it's really hard for you to accept it yourself. Even if you know you're trans, I literally just said I am trans, but I can't accept it in the last clip. So, you know, it is common and it is normal to doubt yourself, because it's almost kind of like you don't really want to be trans because you see all of the harassment and hate and garbage online and in real life that is aimed towards trans people just for being themselves. Being someone who, you know, was assigned male at birth, raised as a boy, boy's teenage experience, I suppose. And then only recently realising that a lot of the weird feelings I have are because I'm transgender. I think along with that also comes, the realisation of these feelings and experiences that I've had for a long time, like years. Stuff like gender dysphoria. I've had a lot of gender dysphoria stuff going on for a while. Like, as much as I don't really want to talk about it, like jerking off, as teenage me would have probably very elegantly put it. Stuff like that's really uncomfortable because, obviously you're seeing, those below areas which obviously don't match with my inner, I suppose, female identity. Because I've been feeling a bit more uncomfortable in my body recently, is it just because I've recently discovered these words like gender dysphoria, and I now kind of know what it is, and because I have a name for it, I can say, oh, this is what it is, and this is why I feel uncomfortable with it. I don't think I've really ever had like a lucid dream or whatever, but I feel like that is what it would be like it's almost like a out of body experience, where you're just kind of like viewing everything from like behind sheets of glass, and it's just like, it just kind of feels like I'm dreaming. Is this like really my body? Are these really my hands? Are these really my legs? Is this really me? Or is this some weird dream where I'm in someone's, like, trapped in someone else's body or something? Gender dysphoria. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Okay guys, I know things are a bit of a mess back there. I'm going to clean that up in a minute, but can you just tell me if I've done all of it? Yeah? This bit done? I think so. Is that bit done? Here? What about this bit? Oh, you guys are no help. I'm just going to have to watch the video back and see if it's all done. Done my hair, looks nice. Bit rosy, bit red. Kind of matches this, to be honest. Kind of burgundy. Quite nice. I quite like it. I've been trying to be more positive recently. I've been watching more content from non-binary people and trans people. And you know what? It's all about positivity. Sometimes when other people are trying to bring you down, you just got to be like, shut the beep. So this is like a message to me to say, stop being so hard on yourself and just be a human, for God's sake, and stop taking what everyone says so seriously, goddammit. It's hard, dude. But you just gotta be yourself and live and be a woman. That's all I gotta say. On the topic of not taking what other people think to heart, I feel like my confidence has improved so much since I came out. It feels amazing to wear things that I actually like. It's almost as if being yourself and doing what you want to do makes you happier. When I was in secondary school, I was scared to wear the t-shirts that I liked, because I thought it would get me bullied even more than I already was for being quote unquote different. But look at me now. I can finally experiment with different clothes, makeup, nail polish, necklaces. I finally got the septum and ear piercings that I've wanted for years. There's simple things like finally having the confidence to show my bare legs in public for maybe the 5th time ever in my life, and the first time that I've actually felt comfortable doing it. Feels like I can do anything now. Sure, some people will stare at me in the street or make rude comments or whatever, but while it's upsetting, does it really matter? Because those people were the bullies at school. They were my supposed best friend, who hated me because he was brought up by homophobic parents who forced him into the closet. They are pathetic, and they will never understand. They will never understand that this is who I've always been, somewhere hidden away inside, always hoping for a better future even when I hurt myself or just wanted to end my life. I finally feel like I can just simply be myself.
Feels like I haven't even left the house in 6 weeks. Feels like I haven't even left my room in 6 weeks. Feels like I haven't even talked online in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So sorry that I ghosted you the other day. You see that I was just not feeling okay. You posted that photo of your friends hanging out. I was just, 'cause I've not even left the house in 6 weeks. Feels like I haven't even left the house in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Feels like I haven't even left my room in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Feels like I haven't even talked online in 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
The other day I spoke to my GP and he said that he didn't learn anything about transgender people when he was in medical school. Like that is an excuse? What is that even supposed to mean? Why do you even say that? What? But anyway, it reminded me of the sizable communities online of DIY HRT or DIY trans groups online. There is a lot of groups online that will DIY their transition. It's honestly just depressing that it's gotten to this point with the NHS, the gender identity clinics, the waiting lists, GPs just dismissing people or saying you're too depressed to be trans. Come back to me when you're not as depressed. Not realising that they're probably depressed because of how you're treating them. They're probably depressed because they can't get any hormones, because they can't get the surgery they want, because they can't get the voice training they need, because they can't do anything. It just blows my mind that... Oh, you're trans? Well, I don't have to deal with you then. I never learned about it in medical school, so, you know, I don't know what a transgender is, so... I invite you all to take a look at my face and guess how I've been doing recently. Here's a clue. Greasy, unwashed hair, garbage, 5 o'clock shadow, my nails, like half of them have come off or they're all chipped and I haven't bothered to repaint them yet. I'm not dressed, this is like a pyjama t-shirt. Just from all of those criteria, take a guess at how I've been doing recently. Yeah, I've been doing really good actually. Happy Pride Month. I've been having a great Pride Month. You know, I've been thinking all this stupid stuff like, I'm never gonna get hormones. Because up until a couple of weeks ago, I kind of forgot that I should probably, you know, freeze my sperm or whatever. Gross. I'll just call it fertility because that's what they call it and it sounds nicer than sperm freezing. But yeah, I kind of forgot that I'd have to do sperm freezing if I wanted to have children in the future or whatever because hormones makes you infertile. Probably. So I kind of forgot about that, so I was kind of like, yes, I'm gonna finally get hormones! And then it was like, oh no, I have to still do all this stuff. Welcome to the jack-off room, where I need to do a sperm sample. Epic. I'm sure I'll feel really feminine when I jerk off into this cup. Nice. Nice. The other day I had the first test to see if it's even worth freezing and it was fine, luckily, so that was good. But then I've had to wait like 3 weeks for the first like consultation thing, and then I have to have blood tests, and then I actually have to do the thing and, you know, the actual sample. I feel like it's just going to drag out for so long, and it's like, I just want the hormones, for God's sake, because even when I do get hormones, it's going to take months, for it to really make any difference probably anyway. And like breast growth, that takes like 2 to 3 years or something. So it's just like, can't we just start already, for God's sake?
I'm not going boy mode ever again. Hate it when you mock me in front of my friends. You've always been a prick. Why didn't I block you way back? Shouldn't have waited for personal attack. You've always been a dick. Your dad's a homophobe, your mum's rudely honest. Cause I'm not offended when they mock my nail polish. Like they say it's just a phase. Sat 2 hours on the train to visit you and suicidal. Few months later, you made me feel the same. Exactly the same. Blocked 2 months ago now, and it's quite sad. You made new accounts, messaged me back to back. Won't fall for your trap. Reporting your stalking to the local police. Gave them all the screenshots, but they did nothing. Nothing at all. A year ago I would've called you my best friend, but now it's all come to a very sudden end. At least it made a good song.
It may be surprising to some people, but not every human being is the same. Not every autistic person is the same. Not every trans person is the same. We are all different. So it's kind of offensive for cisgender, aka not transgender, or people that are the same gender that they were assigned at birth. It's kind of offensive for people like that to assume that every trans person is the same. Recently I was trying to get some counselling, and in the assessment the woman basically implied that if I don't have that same exact copy and paste story that cisgender people expect trans people to have, basically the story of being 6 years old and knowing that I was meant to be a girl and born in the wrong body, all that sort of malarkey, if I didn't have that story, then I wasn't trans. And that shows how much of a stereotype it is, and it shows how negatively those things actually affect people in the community, because this woman was really rude and nasty to me just because I didn't fit her narrative of what a real trans person, a real trans woman, is meant to be like. one of the most obvious things that took me so long to realise is that you don't have to be a boy. You don't have to like alcohol. You don't have to like going to the gym. You don't have to like masculinity. You're allowed to just be yourself. And that can be good enough. That can be good enough. Hello everyone, it is me, Frankie, and it's the 17th of July 2021. Today I have received something cool in the post because the DVLA has sent back my new provisional driving licence with the right gender, the right name, the right photograph, all that stuff I had to get changed and fill in all the stupid forms. It's finally arrived. I have the receipt of when I sent off the parcel or letter. So I know that I sent it off on the 11th of May 2021. So it took about 2 months, 6 days to arrive. But, you know, at least it has all the right stuff. It's correct. It's got the right picture, right gender, everything. So I'm all set. I think all of my ID is now updated. I've done the passport. I've done the driving license. I've done all my credit and debit cards, whatever, and all my other IDs and things, Tesco club card and all that. So the only other things I have to do are update my will, which I wanted to do anyway because I want to change what charities and stuff that I was going to donate to if I just... And the other thing is that gender recognition certificate or something, which you need to get your birth certificate changed to female in your new name or something. Otherwise you'll just get like dead named and misgendered at your own funeral, I think, or something. Which, you know, I can laugh about that, but it's also like, you know, if I was getting misgendered at my funeral, I think I would come out and take someone else down into the grave with me. You know, I'd come out as a demon Frankie, Frankenweenie. I'd come out and The other day, I was buying an energy drink, and I was doing like my high-pitched kind of girl voice that I do sometimes, but I don't really do it that much because it kind of hurts my throat. But I do it sometimes when I'm trying extra hard to get gendered correctly. And so, yeah, that's the voice that I've been working on with like Trans Voice Lessons, which is like a YouTube channel that shows you how to like train your voice with like resonance and pitch and all that jazz to make your voice sound more feminine. But I don't really do it that much because it kind of just hurts my throat to talk in a high-pitched voice and stuff all the time. Essentially, I was doing that voice and they wouldn't let me buy an energy drink. You have to be 16 to buy an energy drink, so presumably they thought I was 15. Which is one of a few reasons why I'm kind of retiring doing that voice all the time. The other main reason being that it just strains my voice, like I said. And other reasons being, you know, people shouldn't have to change their voices to sound feminine. There's women that have really deep voices. There's women that have really high, squeaky chipmunk voices. There's men that have high-pitched voices. There's men that have really deep, bass voices. And although there are certain things like, you know, this resonance and pitch and things that suggest to someone what gender your voice is, I just don't agree with that. And I don't... The thing is, I don't really hate my voice. I hate my voice when it goes like really deep down and like quite masculine like this, but like I don't talk like this all the time because I only really talk like this when my throat's really dry or it's really early in the morning. So most of the time I just kind of talk like this, and I feel like that's fine. You know, I don't have to I don't have to talk like this all the time to be able to get gendered as female, because not every girl sounds like this. And as shown with the energy drink incident, you know, they thought I was 15. My GP and my doctor's surgery as a whole, they're always going to mess something up. You literally have to check everything. Any mistake they could make, they are going to make. It's just exhausting having to chase everything up constantly. Half the time I can't even get through on the phone, or they tell me to contact someone and I don't have their contact details, so what am I supposed to do? The thing is, I don't want to feel like I'm complaining all the time, but it's so difficult to stay positive when you've got to constantly keep on top of everything. At this point, I've been out publicly for almost a year. I've been on, you know, Oestrogen for almost 3 months. I've had my name updated for like 8 or 9 months. And I've had all my correctly gendered documents, most of them for like 8 months. But there's still all of this stuff going on. Sometimes my parents are like, "Oh, Frankie, I thought being trans was meant to make you happy now that you can be yourself." It does make me happy, but it doesn't make me happy because I feel so powerless against like doctors and medical professionals. I just dread every time I have to go to the doctors or ring them up or anything. I just know there's going to be issues. Why can't it just be easy? Why do they have to make everything so hard?
All I want is Frankie, female, and get my medication. It's not that difficult. It's like they want to make it difficult on purpose. Every time I go there, the staff are so rude and they don't listen. They just don't care, do they?
I don't agree with the whole born in the wrong body thing. For me, it's not like I'm trying to be the opposite gender. It's like everyone else is just convinced that I already am the opposite gender. You know, I already know that I'm female, but everyone else perceives me as male because I had male puberty. Although I'm not male. Everyone tells me that I'm male, but I'm not. Why do we need to assume anything about anyone? I have a badge on my pink denim jacket that says not all disabilities are visible, and that is very true. I feel like people, not that I tell people I know that I'm autistic, but I feel like if I did, people would use that against me somehow. You know, like, you don't look autistic. I've heard people say that, not to me, but other people. But what does that mean? You know, you're creating your own idea of what an autistic person looks like, whatever that means. That as well is just offensive. What a trans person looks like, what an autistic person looks like, what anything looks like, it's all just stereotypes. It's all just in your head at the end of the day.
Obligatory graduation post. Honestly, the past year of uni has been so weird. Without complaining too much, I've struggled with online classes, as I'm sure we all have, and my mental health the past 3 years has been garbage anyway. Although, it's getting better, ? It's very sad to see that many of my friends did not graduate, dropped out, or could not attend the graduation. I didn't realise just how hard and stressful uni would be until I was stuck in the middle of it with no way out. Dropping out means failure, continuing on means continuing to suffer. But luckily, somehow, I managed it in the end.
I just put on my gel, that's why my sleeve is rolled up. I just had a few more things that I wanted to say before finishing this off. Although I'm trans and autistic and dyslexic, I still have white privilege and thin privilege. I live in the UK, which is certainly not the best place for trans people, but it's certainly a lot better than some other places. I mean, there's the BBC giving J.K. Rowling an award for her transphobic essay. There's the UK government assuring us that they are supportive of LGBT people, while in the exact same response to the petition saying that they deny the existence essentially of non-binary people and will therefore not recognise non-binary as a legal gender. And then there's things like what I would class hate group, LGB Alliance, which is an anti-trans group which was deemed charity status in the UK. Although all those things may sound bad, there are other countries where it's a lot worse, and you know, it might have taken me months to get my gender documents updated and all my ID sorted out fully, but in some other countries you have to be legally infertile, so incapable of having any children before you can even change gender markers, or you have to have had what they call transsexual surgery before you can change any of those markers. I don't think I need to explain why that's awful, it just is. Even the idea of just being out in public. You know, luckily I live somewhere that I can be out in quotation marks. You know, and my friends and family are, for the most part, accepting of that, and love me for who I am. I waited around 8 months to get hormones on a private prescription, and that sucked a lot because I was already so sad and just, I don't even know how to describe it, just numb to everything. I just felt like I had no emotions. I just felt awful. I realised when I started researching into all these, you know, trans topics and things, that I'd had gender dysphoria and things like that for years, and you know, some people might not consider trans people a priority for healthcare or anything like that, but really trans healthcare can be life-saving. It's scary to want to end your own life because you just feel that there's no other option. But this is how some trans people feel. It took me 7 months to get hormones, but I know people that it's taken 5 years or 6 years or longer, or they've not had a blood test in years when your levels are meant to be checked regularly. I spoke to someone that hadn't had a blood test in 11 years. If you don't have the money that I'm fortunate enough to have to get a private prescription and private hormones and things like that, then what are you supposed to do? Just sit around for years and years until the NHS finally gives you what you want? What is the other option? You know, at a certain point it just becomes 2 options. Life or death. Because I felt like being a boy or whatever was just slowly killing me. And a lot of people won't understand that feeling. But if you are out there and you are struggling, then know at least that I understand how you feel. And you can be okay. Thank you for watching.
Don't hold your breath, it'll be okay. Everything will fall into place one day. For every breakdown in the bathroom, 'Cause when the confidence finds you, it's been there all along. It'll start to feel like this is where I belong.